A very good morning to you and welcome back to the show. How are you guys doing? Hope you are having yourself an amazing day so far. Of course, we're back on another beautiful Tuesday and we're going to be talking to you about all the amazing things that you should know about. I am Jamie. Andrea,
I am
I always wait. I always wait for you to introduce yourself, but you never do it. But I want you to tell people who you are.
I'm Andrea. I'm the another host, and we are gonna do another session with Jamie about different things, like something that just happened soon, like that we never noticed. Like I didn't notice about one of the topics that we are gonna talk about today.
Yeah, absolutely. The conversation just keeps flowing with us. And that's what we want you to do. We want you to be a part of the conversation because, we want to hear your ideas as well. Everything that we do here is based on what you want to hear. Everything that we do here is based on what you like. So we want to know what you're thinking. We want to know what plans you have for today. Most importantly, we want to know if you like what we are talking about. So go right ahead, call us up on 07852473473 and make sure that you connect with us. Okay, you can most definitely do that by checking us out on our social media. That's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok as well. I mean, we are busting some moves on TikTok. We're trying our best to be as cool as possible on TikTok, so make sure that you go show us some love on TikTok as well. We go as Relax Radio, and we're spelled without the X in Relax. Again, Andrea, do you know the reason why we're spelled without the X in Relax?
The meaning that we don't have the X on the radio, like the name.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Amin told me, and oh my god, I found that like amazing because I will never think about that. Like, if someone told me like, you know what, there isn't an X, I would be like, because they don't like that. But no, it's like a full meaning behind that. Really nice. Do you know it?
Absolutely. Sorry?
Do you know it?
Yeah, absolutely. They told me that the X essentially represents negative energy in any aspect, right? So the reason we don't have the X in Relax is because we're all about positivity. We're all about making sure that you are as hyped up as possible. And I feel like, listen, the world today has enough and more negative energy. There's so much negativity that is going on around us. If you turn on the TV, there's just so much uh, not great things happening. And I feel like everybody could use like an extra dose of positivity. And that is what we are giving you. That is what we're doing for you. We're giving you that positive dose of good conversation. And we're making sure that you are as happy, you are as hyped up as possible. Because come on, we believe in you. Okay. We believe in you possibly more than you believe in yourself. And Andrea and I both believe that you can definitely do it, that you are capable of so much more than you are aware of. And we want you to kind of harness that energy. We want you to use that energy to do something absolutely amazing, right? I'm sure Andrea agrees with me. And we want you to just live your best life. We want you to be as happy as possible, okay?
Of course, like I would like to hear like if someone told me my day is doing great. Like don't forget to comment down below and let us know everything that you want to know. Like because either it's something bad or negativity, we can talk about that and make sure that you end it with a positive mind.
Absolutely. I think a lot of us at least, we underestimate the power of a positive mind. Now, okay, I'm going to be really fair with you. I was always a very logical person. Like I don't know if that makes sense, but all of these things about positivity, these things about attracting, manifesting, I never actually believed in this stuff because for me it was, okay, you work hard, you get the results. And there was nothing apart from that. Right? Does that make sense to you? And
Yeah,
I was always that person. I always believed in pure hard work, and I never believed that all of this talk about positivity, all of this talk about manifesting good things in life and believing that good things will happen to you. I never believed in that because for me it was just something that like social media influencers talked about just to get people hyped up and stuff. But I've had such a what's the word, a transformation, I would say, and I've started to believe in this idea of positive energy. And as cliche and as I don't know, as cheesy and corny as it sounds, I feel like I am the best example when it comes to the fact that positive mindset or this positive energy actually works, Andrea. Because for me, even in hard times, I try at least to have like a positive mindset, and that has had such a benefit or such a good influence on my life as a whole.
Yeah, completely. I understand you because I think that people that no one's born with a positive mind and all that stuff. I think that you while you evolutionate in this kind of ideas, you get more into this. So I completely agree with you, and I think that that happens to most of the people. Either with me, as you said, like I wasn't a positive person all my life. I get used to be sad or negative, like when I did bad things, now all my day is breathing. No, like you just did something bad in one moment. It's gonna change. It's gonna change at some point.
Absolutely, I 100% agree with you. Life is just it's a roller coaster. You just gotta admit it. No matter how much money you have, it just everybody has to deal with issues in life, and that's just how life is. And it just sucks that it's unfair, but it's unfair for everyone. And I kind of think that's what makes life fair. I don't know if this makes sense, but this is essentially how I think no matter how much money you have, no matter how much of a luxurious life you live, though, if you ask like the richest person on earth, they're going to be like, oh, life can be really unfair for me. And I think the fact that life is unfair for every single person, no matter how rich you are, no matter how poor you are, no matter how amazingly talented and popular you are, everybody has unfairnesses, if that's a word, but everybody has to face with certain things in life. And I think that's kind of what evens out life as a whole. We all deal with our own problems, we all deal with our own obstacles in life, but the fact is that everybody deals with it, right? Even though it's different, even though it's widely different from person to person, every single person deals with it, and that's just what makes life fair. And that's just, you know, what can you do about it? You can complain, but where is that going to get you? So instead of complaining, maybe try to adapt and move past those obstacles. And I think COVID-19, the virus in itself, is very good proof of that. There's absolutely nothing we can do other than complain about the virus. But the only thing you can do is adapt and move forward. If you lost your job, I am sincerely so very sorry that you lost your job, but try your best to find another job. There are so many online jobs that appeared because of the virus. Just adapt and move on. That essentially is kind of what I try to follow in life. That's essentially what I try to believe in life, if that makes any sense.
You say in the best way that I couldn't say that. Like you're completely right because at the end of the day, we just adapt to everything. Like to the weather and all that stuff. Because when you change to another country, maybe your country is quite different to the country that you live now. So instead of looking like a bad thing, try to just look at the positive side. Like just adapt to that and make sure that you enjoying that part of your change.
Absolutely. You need to embrace the fact that everything's changing around us. You need to embrace the fact that life is just going to be a roller coaster, all right? It's going to be moments of happiness, but moments of sadness as well. You just need to embrace that idea. And I don't know, for me, what I want you to do is to kind of make the few years that you live here on earth absolutely worth it. I want you to be as happy as possible. I want you to, achieve your dreams and goals. And again, as cheesy as that may sound, at the end of the day, what's the point of life if you don't, right? What's the point of life if you kind of don't start loving yourself? And trust me, I know how hard it can be, how absolutely terrifying it can be to kind of embrace your flaws, to embrace yourself. But it's just something that you need to learn to do. It's just something that you absolutely need to do if you want to get the best of life and if you don't want life to get the best of you. So just like Andrea said, adapt, move on, and make sure that you listen to Relax Radio, because we are giving you the best of content. We're giving you conversation that will help you broaden your knowledge as well, and we're just trying to be there for you. Everybody needs a friend sometimes, and that's what we are trying to do for you. We're trying to be that friend for you. We're trying to be there for you. And anytime you want to have a conversation, it's super simple. All you gotta do is connect with us. Okay.
Of course, don't forget to download the app and look at us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, I was looking at the TikToks and oh my god, I'm really enjoying doing that because I never know that. Like, I saw your TikTok as well, and it's like, wow.
Right? I mean, all of us are trying new things, and we're trying new things so that you could have something to look at. We're trying new things so that you could have a good time and you can enjoy life. So make sure that you go show us some love. Let us know what you think. If you do any TikToks, actually, make sure that you send it to us. You could send it to us on TikTok in itself, or you can head on over to our Instagram and send us a video. We always love to chat with you. We always love to have good conversation with you. So make sure that, if there's absolutely anything you want to share with us, go right ahead and share with us, because we are there for you all day, every day. Now, with that being said, we're going to head on to a little break, Andrea, but we'll be back and we're going to be talking about some very interesting things. So make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio.
Climb Mount Everest. That is one of that's in my bucket list. You're laughing, but that is the facts right there. I'd love to do that. That is something I'm looking forward to do, hopefully.
Climb Everest.
Mount Everest. I mean, okay, not the very tip of Mount Everest, maybe the base camp at least.
They're talking about mental health. Well, if you went out and got some exercise in the fresh air, that will improve your mental health. It will make you feel better.
That's true. That is true. I wholeheartedly agree. But then for some people, it's how do you find the motivation to, especially when it comes to riding a bicycle, to do it again and again and again and again? It's a cycle that you have to be used to. How do you do it? What makes you wake up in the morning and decide, hey, I'm going to pick my bike up today. I'm going to cycle. What makes you want to do that?
What makes me want to do that?
Yeah. What do you like? What could you give listeners, like people listening in right now? What kind of tip could you give them?
Well, the first tip I would give them, if you haven't tried it before, try it. It can open up new horizons. It'll make you fitter. It will definitely make you fitter. Cycling is one of the best forms of aerobic exercise you can do.
It sounds like, if you think about it, yeah, it sounds like great fun. Because what essentially you're trying to say is also at the same time, when you, if you look at it from this perspective, with regards to mental health, especially when you look at it with mental health, this is another way to fight it. I feel like you go outside, you meet more people, you interact with, socially, you will interact with more people, and you're keeping fit, you're making connections, you're breathing in the good and exhaling the bad. I feel like that's a great thing right there.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got a better way with words than I have, I'll tell you. But you're quite right. What you say there. You're quite right.
I've been doing this for quite some time. Hey, you'll get the hang of it.
I've been doing it for about 10 minutes now, so yeah.
That I can never really understand people staying in one room the whole day when you can have the world to see. I am a traveler. I travel. I love traveling. Traveling is just one of the things I do. And yeah, on top of my bucket list was, to one time, hopefully when I get there, go to Nepal and climb Mount Everest. That is one of that's in my bucket list. You're laughing, but that is the facts right there. I'd love to do that. That is something I'm looking forward to do, hopefully.
Climb Everest.
Mount Everest. Okay, not the very tip of Mount Everest, maybe the base camp at least.
Base camp, yeah.
At least.
Would you be able to cycle there?
Oh.
The valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday. And what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. What am I saving or investing for? Why am I doing it? When will I need the money? And how much money do I need? Yeah. So that's quite important, because when you're looking at your net worth, you got to start with saying, well, what do I want my net worth to be, so that there's a goal, and then work backwards. How do I get there? And if I can start with £50 or $50 a week, if I save that every week, and you can go online and use calculators online. I don't have to teach you the maths behind it, but you can say, okay, and if I get a 3% return and I put this away for how long will it take to reach my goal? And that's called just this basic cash flow projection calculations. And it's what we use in financial planning all the time. What we say to clients is we say, okay, what is your goal? What is your objective? Where do you want to go to? And we discuss that in a lot of detail and over most of the meeting. And then the rest of it is saying, okay, in your exact circumstances, with your risk profile, with how you feel about investments and pensions and taxes and where you are and who you work with, and your education level or your lack of education or how involved you want to be. There's a lot of variables that we take into account, and then we say, okay, here's a plan. You start like this, that's great. And then we review it all the time. And we say, okay, we need to increase it, we're on track, we're not, this is what is happening. Because remember, when you're dealing with assets, the valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday, and what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. So that's a struggle. Yeah. So there are strategies everywhere from £50 a week up to £100 million pounds, and they're different. Right? They range differently from everyone, but and from country to country, to be fair. Different countries have different tax laws, so different vehicles. But from your point of view, at the sort of normal end, I'm not going to call it the low end because I'm in that boat as well. It's as tax efficient as you can get it. That's where you start. You use all the tax efficiencies, and then you step up into different things.
The Chat Trap.
Very good morning to you. How are you doing? How are you, Andrea? How has your day been so far? Did you get to work out in the morning today? What was your morning routine like?
Today I just woke up kind of late at like 6, so it was good.
I love how that's late for you, because for a normal person that isn't late whatsoever. But yeah, you do you, girl. Did you? What was the reason? Why did you feel like waking up late today? Because you needed like a break, or what was it?
Because the two people put a announcement that they are just gonna open today for 6 a.m. So I said, okay, I'm gonna wake up that time.
I mean, good for you. You got an extra hour of sleep. Hooray. And I guess everybody needs that little time for themselves. We spoke about this yesterday. We spoke about how it's important to go easy on yourself, how it's important to kind of accept yourself no matter where you are in life. It's important to kind of embrace yourself for all of your flaws. And sometimes just life doesn't work out the way we want to. And that doesn't mean that you be so tough on yourself. That doesn't mean that you be extra hard on yourself. And that's kind of what we're going to be talking about for the next couple minutes, okay? But before we do that, I want to remind everybody listening in to be a part of the show. Let me know if you like what we're talking about. Let me know if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let me know if you have any personal experiences. Because I don't know, Andrea, but I feel like this is an amazing opportunity for people to kind of share their thoughts and share their opinions with everybody out there. Because we have so many people listening in on our app, we have people listening in on our social media platforms, and with you voicing out your opinion, you are also sharing it with the people out there. You're sharing it with everybody that's listening in, and if it's a good idea, then you're kind of helping people see a different perspective, which I think is always amazing. It's always amazing to see the world through other people's eyes, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I completely agree. And something positivity right now is that, I don't know if you hear the news, but Cardi B reveals that she's pregnant with her second child during the Beat Awards performance. Like, what?
I know, I don't know. To me, okay, I think I actually did see this. I saw it on Snapchat or something. It's like what everybody's talking about. But the reason I was so surprised is because, see, Cardi B is just like, I mean, yeah, people have two different views of her. People have two different perspectives of her. But at the end of the day, you need to hand it to her. She is somebody that didn't have so great of a life. Like she talks about her life a few years back, and she said about how she was struggling financially, how she barely had any money to do anything. But she worked on her talent. She did what she loved, and she's in a position today where she's financially stable, where she's one of the most popular people on the planet. But apart from that, she's also handling like a personal life. She's also handling becoming a mother. She's handling becoming pregnant, because motherhood isn't easy. Motherhood, pregnancy in itself can be such a huge challenge. Like, we need to give women more credit for actually going through it. Like, I personally, being a woman, I cannot imagine like 9 months of that much suffering, 9 months of that much pain. I'm just 21 years old, and I feel like I know other girls who are 21 years and have a very stable family life, who, have given birth to children. And that is not even something I can think of. So I think we need to give women more credit for, handling motherhood as a whole, and for kind of, I don't know, giving birth to children.
I
I don't know.
know. It looks so hard. Like I couldn't imagine like being there and just giving birth. No, no. I think that no. But I really like Cardi B, as you're saying, because I love her attitude. Like when you see her videos and all that stuff, she's always talking to her like she's the best, like the most important person in the world. And I think that's really amazing because she's thinking that about her, and that makes me realize that if she thinks that about her, why we couldn't think about that about us? Like we are so great human beings as well.
I mean, that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
I love that example that you used, especially with like Cardi B. She gets enough and more hate. Like, there's enough and more trolls on like social media, on online platforms that talk bad about her. But she absolutely does not affect that. She doesn't let that affect her life. She doesn't let that affect her image of herself. And I think that's what's most important to remember. We need to understand that people are going to say stuff, especially if you're doing something in life, people are always going to criticize you. Like, the only way you can like stay away from criticism, if you don't want people to say anything about you, the only thing you can do is do nothing. Like, if you do nothing, if you don't do anything, accomplish anything, then there's nothing for people to talk about. But if people talk about you, it means they're doing something, right? So I think criticism in itself is like a part of the process. It's a part of like getting to the top. It's a part of getting successful. And I think Cardi B is definitely such a good example for us. No matter what people say about her, she has such a good I don't know, it's not narcissism in the sense where like she's
Yeah.
so like insanely proud of herself. She is so self-confident, I would like to say. And I feel like in the society that we live in, especially when a woman is self-confident, when a woman like knows her worth, it's kind of portrayed as narcissism by like the
Yeah.
patriarchy of society. If that makes any sense, I feel like that's a little bit
Yeah.
of a stretch. But that's definitely something I've seen, especially in like workplaces. You have women that are bosses and that are like, super powerful, and they are super independent, and they get called narcissistic. Like, they get called negative things for being self-confident. But again, I think that's the patriarchy. So kudos to Cardi B for handling her career, and also, having a baby for the second time. I think that's absolutely amazing. And I think we really need to give her credit for that.
Yeah, I completely agree because we can see that she has so many hit songs, like so many, at least 10 everyone listen. And I think that she represents good as well her races because she never said like I don't like my races because she's from Dominican Republic. And as we saw in her last picture on Instagram, she posted with her daughter like dressing as an Afro Caribbean style. And I really love it because she's not showing off like okay, I have money and now I just use this kind of clothes because I'm in America and all that stuff. Instead, she's saying like, "Thank you so much for saying me that good wishes to have my second baby." I really like because at the same time she's not showing off. Like she's just showing how she feels after that change, that huge change that she had.
Right. I think that's respectable. That's something that we need to appreciate about her, the fact that she's embracing her culture. And apart from that, Andrea, I think especially being a minority in the US, she is so comfortable with expressing herself and expressing her culture, and she does not care about what people have to say about her. And I think that's a very positive influence on other little girls who like kind of get and like look up to Hollywood or look up to the celebrity scene and see people like Cardi B embracing their curves, embracing their body, embracing their culture. It just means a lot to little girls that kind of look up to Cardi B, that look up to people like that, and they can say, "Oh, there's somebody like that looks like us. There's somebody like us that's owning it," and I think that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, yeah, and I really like it the way that she told us that she's pregnant during that beat hours. Like I could imagine that normally people just say like Instagram or in an interview, but she said like she just come with the dance and I'm pregnant. I know.
I mean, you wouldn't expect anything less from Cardi B. She's always been like super extravagant, and she's
Oh,
always been
yeah.
extra. So I guess like that was the only way we could, like, a social media post would have been too normal for Cardi B, and she just embraced it and she just went all out and made the announcement as well. But with it being said, we want to know what you think. We want to know, do you think Cardi B is a respectable artist? I mean, I know that it's a hugely controversial topic because a lot of people say that people like Cardi B kind of ruin the rapport of music as a whole because they talk about one extreme that doesn't depict the entire music industry, but people don't get to like value true music because with things like when WAP came out, I don't know if you've heard of it, but there was so much controversy that's going around. So obviously there's two different sides of the story, and we've been talking about her morale and her work ethic and how she looks at herself, which me and Andrea both find respectable. But of course, you can have a different opinion. You can have a very different opinion. Do you think she's a positive influence, or do you think she's a negative influence? We want to know what you think. We want to know your opinion. Do enlighten us. Please make sure that you comment down below. Let me know who your favorite artist is. Let me know if you like Cardi B, because that's just going to add another perspective to the conversation. So make sure that you tune in, make sure that you comment down below, make sure that you call us on 078 With that being said, Andrea, I think it's about time that we head on over to a little break. But when we come back, we'll have a lot more interesting things to share with you.
The valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday, and what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. What am I saving or investing for? Why am I doing it? When will I need the money? And how much money do I need? Yeah. So that's quite important, because when you're looking at your net worth, you got to start with saying, well, what do I want my net worth to be? So that there's a goal, and then work backwards. How do I get there? And if I can start with £50 or $50 a week, if I save that every week, and you can go online and use calculators online. I don't have to teach you the maths behind it, but you can say, okay, and if I get a 3% return and I put this away for how long will it take to reach my goal? And that's called just this basic cash flow projection calculations. And it's what we use in financial planning all the time. What we say to clients is we say, okay, what is your goal? What is your objective? Where do you want to go to? And we discuss that in a lot of detail and over most of the meeting. And then the rest of it is saying, okay, in your exact circumstances, with your risk profile, with how you feel about investments and pensions and taxes and where you are and who you work with, and your education level or your lack of education or how involved you want to be. There's a lot of variables that we take into account, and then we say, okay, here's a plan. You start like this, that's great. And then we review it all the time. And we say, okay, we need to increase it, we're on track, we're not, this is what is happening. Because remember, when you're dealing with assets, the valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday, and what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. So that's a struggle. Yeah. So there are strategies everywhere from £50 a week up to £100 million, and they're different. Right? They range differently from everyone, but and from country to country. To be fair, different countries have different tax laws, so different vehicles. But from your point of view, at the sort of normal end, I'm not going to call it the low end because I'm in that boat as well. It's as tax efficient as you can get it. That's where you start. You use all the tax efficiencies, and then you step up into different things.
Again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, you've had one to forget, God, there'd be an inquest. Me, why did you reject my son? Oh, I haven't rejected your son.
I want to talk about, how the generation gap, how much has changed, especially when you check the youth nowadays in comparison, to people back in the day.
I'd say when I was younger, it was more disciplined. Not now.
In comparison to now.
Not at all. Not now. The way things are nowadays, the younger generation, you seem that they can't accept the word no. If that makes sense. They can't
accept rejection, essentially, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, they can't accept the word no. So if you, how did I do? Or you didn't do very well, and they get upset. And when I was a youngster, my father used to say to me, because I used to be sport mad when I was very young. Well, I still am sport mad, but like participating in different sports. And if I had a bad game, for example, he'd say to me, you had one to forget. That's it.
Your dad sounds like a smart guy. I mean, yeah, that's the real fact of the matter, yeah.
He'd say to me, you had one to forget. Get over it. And that was it. So I dust myself down and do it again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, you've had one to forget, God, there'd be an inquest. Me, why did you reject my son? Oh, I haven't rejected your son. Or daughter. I've just told them that they need to buck their ideas up.
That's the truth right there. I mean, if you think about it, if you check the generations, like right now in the US as well, I've seen a lot of these things as well. In the UK, you get medals for participation. But what's the point? What are you trying to? Yeah, what's the point? Either you win or you lose. People are so afraid to put that whole notion of losing. When it comes to right now, the generation gap is just crazy. How much a lot has changed. Social media has taken control of our lives, and we don't even realize it anymore. We're crippled because of it.
That's absolutely right, Nick. Because as you said, nowadays it seems that you get rewarded for failure. For the life of me, Nick, I can't get my head around that. Perhaps I'm just getting old and morbid, I don't know. I just can't get my head around how you could be rewarded for failure.
The Chat Trap.
A very good morning to you and welcome back to the show. Good afternoon if you're living somewhere else. And we just want to know, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, no matter how old you are, we absolutely love you and we're giving you conversation. I feel like that sounded a little creepy. Like I said, no matter how old you are, we love you. I did not mean it in that way. I meant we care about you no matter what perspective you have of life, no matter how old you are. We give you conversation that you are absolutely going to love. We are not creepy, I swear. Andrea and I were good people. We're trying to be good people at least.
No. We just saying no. Nothing there, don't worry.
Don't worry about it. For us, what's most important is you. Like I always say, we want you to be a part of the show. We're not creepy. We're just looking out for you. We just want to be good friends. Why does every Oh my gosh. So, I don't know what's happening. Okay, you know what? Okay, getting back to serious conversation. We just want to let you know that Relax Radio is always going to be here for you. Relax Radio is there to make sure that you are filled with positivity, to make sure that you are as hyped up as possible and you are updated as well. I want you to be able to, if you get with a group of friends and if you're talking about something interesting, I want you to be able to contribute to the conversation. I want you to be able to say, oh, look, this is something I heard, and give your perspective. And you can definitely learn so much by listening to us because we are learning so much from people and from articles, and we're preparing a lot before we come and talk to you, which is why we want you to listen to us, which is why we want you to be a part of the show and let us know what you are thinking. I am Jamie, and we got Andrea on board as well. We're going to be with you for quite some time actually, and talking about all interesting things. So make sure that you call us up, make sure that you leave a comment down below, and just connect with us, okay? We love to hear from you. There's nothing more important than you, like I always say.
Of course, don't forget to contact us by social media. That is Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. And also don't forget to download the app because every time we're just sharing different content. And I would like to send us a comment or a message saying if you like it, if you find that helpful for yourself, and all that, because I really would like to hear maybe you don't like that and we can try to change or all that stuff. Also, I was thinking about boundaries. I don't know, what do you think about that when you put limits to someone?
Okay, so with regards to putting boundaries on your time, okay, I'll start off by saying this. I'll give up a person. First things that for me, it's not always easy to say no to a person. Like if somebody says, oh, let's go out for a drink, or I need some help, I'm the sort of person that finds it really hard to say no, right? Because I always want to be there for other people. I always want to be a part of the social circle, be a part of the social group, be a part of everything that happens with my friends. So something that's really hard for me is to say no to people. But because of this, I've come to realize that because of the fact that I don't say no to people, I have this issue in kind of putting boundaries on time. Like even when it comes to work, even if it's replying to an email after work hours, I can't put boundaries because I can never say no. Like I always say, if somebody says do this, or can you help me out, I'm always going to say yes, and that has led to a real issue with myself putting boundaries with work, with my personal life, with going out. And I think with that, and as I grew older, I've come to realize how important it is to put boundaries on your time. Whether it's with regards to work, whether it's with regards to your personal life, whether it's with regards to going out, whatever. I think any too much or too less of anything is not good. So you need to find that perfect balance. And finding that perfect balance essentially comes from putting boundaries on your time. What's the situation with you? Do you find it hard to put boundaries on your time with regards to personal time or with work? What's the situation with you, Andrea?
Oh, well, I kind of like you. For me, it's quite hard to say no because I always like that helpful person that always gonna help you to do anything. But also, instead of saying no, I just try to ignore that or make a little lie, like I can't do that, or I don't have enough time to do that. Instead of saying no, because I don't know, at the same time, I want to ignore that person or that specific moment, but also I don't feel myself to say no.
Absolutely. And I think both of us have the same issue with regards to saying no to people, and that just leads to different problems with putting boundaries on our time. But I feel like in general, for a lot of people with COVID-19 and with having to work remotely, with having to work from home, a lot of people are having very hard times putting boundaries or putting a stop to the work life and personal life, right? Because apparently, according to sources, Andrea, I don't know if you know about this, but there was this poll that was conducted in the UK from UK Professional Trade Union, and it showed that more than 30% of remote workers that or people that work from home have actually found it harder to switch off from work during the pandemic. Okay, so similar proportion of working up are working unpaid hours, which means say if you're supposed to work, stop working at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the evening, you continue to work because you're working from home, and you kind of, there are emails that come in at every time because even your bosses think, oh, she or him, they're working from home, so they have no problem replying to an email, even if it's at 8 o'clock, even if it's at 9 o'clock in the night, or even if it's at 6 in the morning. And I feel like because of COVID-19, essentially, even when it comes to schoolwork, because I know a lot of children that are attending school. I go to college, and I feel like college in itself, the boundaries of school, the boundaries that we set on our time with regards to work, with regards to personal life, are blurring quite a lot. Post pandemic, post COVID 19. And that's an issue that a lot of people have to deal with. So, what I want to try to do within the next couple minutes is talk about this and see what we can do to better set boundaries on our time, like what we can do to say, okay, I stop work here and I start my personal life here. I stop my personal life here and I start work here. So it's important to set boundaries in life. If not, everything's just going to be one big mess. So what me and Andrea are going to be doing, like I said before, what we're going to be doing is making sure that you essentially get the opportunity to learn of a few ways where you can actually set boundaries on your time. Now, with that being said, Andrea, I feel like a lot of countries, especially, I don't know about a lot of countries, like, especially in the Western world, a lot of governments and business organizations are putting like restrictions, like you cannot send work emails after after work time ceases. Like there's a lot of restrictions that are happening, which I think is absolutely amazing, because you can't answer work calls at like 10 in the night. That's just not right. You need to have
Yeah,
that boundary. And
I
yeah,
completely agree because you can force someone to work to overwork that day time that they just do because I think that does not happen human rights. We need to respect each other time because you are not gonna spend 8 hours of work when they just pay you 5 hours. Like you are doing too much and you are not receiving what you're doing. I think that that's a good thing that the government did in other countries. I'm not sure how it's here, but I think that they also respect the time.
absolutely. It's very important to respect the times so that you can put boundaries on your work life, on your personal life. Also, I think one thing that's important to remember is, especially if you're working from home, it's important to not let your personal life, like I know a lot of people that during work hours, they do personal stuff like, cleaning the house or whatever. Just make sure that you don't merge the two. Just set boundaries. And I think that's absolutely important. But moving on, Andrea, I think it's like, okay, why is it that people can't set boundaries? Why is it that people can't say no to people? It's an issue you and I both face. So I kind of did some research into it, and I think the biggest reason why we can't say no to people is this thing called FOMO. Now I don't know if you've heard of it, but FOMO is basically like an acronym for fear of missing out. Okay, so fear of missing out, basically, it's this like, oh, I'm going to be missing a lot of fun. I'm going to be missing a lot of growth, recognition. If you work at office, the reason you don't want to say no, the reason you want to keep working is because you're scared that you won't get that like promotion, that you won't get recognized. The reason why you want to go out and why you can't say no to your friends, if they say, oh, drinks tonight, the reason you can't say no is because you're scared of missing out on all the fun. And I think fear of missing out is definitely a big reason why a lot of people can't say no and why they can't set boundaries on their time.
Yeah, you touch a very good point that I think is linked with perfectionism because when you have FOMO to lose something, you try to be perfectionist with that thing, like either where you work or you home, like try to do everything perfect. When I know that most of the people try to do perfect, and me, I try to do perfect, but then I just think if I can do my best because perfectionist is not gonna be always or all the time. You at some point you're gonna get tired of that because you are gonna be stressed and like, okay, this is not perfect. I'm not gonna send that either. You did a very good work.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like that is a problem for a lot of people. Like you'd rather die of stress than let somebody else down. Like the idea of you saying no to your friends because you're going to let them down, or the idea of you saying no to your boss because it's out of hours. Uh, you'd rather do all of the work and suffer than rather let somebody else down. And yeah, I think that's definitely perfectionism. That's if you are a person that's a perfectionist, you definitely have this is a reason why you can't say no to people. This is a reason why you can't set boundaries on yourself or with your time. Now, with that being said, Andrea, I want to talk about what we can do to develop healthier boundaries, what we can do to kind of stay focused on our goals and set boundaries on our time so that we have like a well balanced life. And I think the first thing that you need to do in order to kind of set boundaries for yourself is to define for yourself what's most important. Like ask yourself, truly ask yourself, okay, what is important for me? What do is going out with my friends, is it going to help me? Is it something that's going to make me happy? Or am I just going because I'm scared of missing out on all the fun? Am I doing it just because, I want to have extra fun, or am I doing it because it makes me happy? And if you're working extra hours, ask yourself, is this truly something you can handle? Is it important to you? I think asking yourself or asking yourself and defining for yourself your core values essentially is one way that you can set boundaries and develop healthier boundaries in your life.
Yeah, like if you don't do what's more important for you, what are you doing now? Like you're just doing something that doesn't make sense for you. Like you are not gonna leave this world because you think that that's important for you instead your mental health or the specific moment that is happening to you in that moment. Maybe you had a big problem and you're thinking that the big problem is not enough to just end your work, just go to school. I think that for that you need to take a break and start thinking like, is that important to be? Like I can find another job. I can go back to the school. I can go back to my studies and all that stuff.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you, Andrea. I think it's important to kind of look at, more importantly, it's kind of important that you define for yourself what's important to you. And like you said, I completely agree with you. It's so important to look inside and ask yourself what you value and base your time and base your boundaries based on that. Now, with that being said, we're going to head on off to a little break. But when we come back, we're going to share with you a few other things that you can do to develop healthier boundaries. So make sure that you keep it tuned because this conversation can most definitely be very, very beneficial for you and for your loved ones.
The valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday. And what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. What am I saving or investing for? Why am I doing it? When will I need the money? And how much money do I need? Yeah. So that's quite important because when you're looking at your net worth, you got to start with saying, well, what do I want my net worth to be? So that there's a goal. And then work backwards. How do I get there? And if I can start with £50 or $50 a week, if I save that every week, and you can go online and use calculators online. I don't have to teach you the maths behind it, but you can say, okay, and if I get a 3% return and I put this away for how long will it take to reach my goal? And that's called just this basic cash flow projection calculations. And it's what we use in financial planning all the time. What we say to clients is we say, okay, what is your goal? What is your objective? Where do you want to go to? And we discuss that in a lot of detail and over most of the meeting. And then the rest of it is saying, okay, in your exact circumstances, with your risk profile, with how you feel about investments and pensions and taxes and where you are and who you work with, and your education level or your lack of education or how involved you want to be. There's a lot of variables that we take into account, and then we say, okay, here's a plan. You start like this, that's great. And then we review it all the time. And we say, okay, we need to increase it, we're on track, we're not, this is what is happening. Because remember, when you're dealing with assets, the valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday. And what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. So that's a struggle. Yeah. So there are strategies everywhere from £50 a week up to £100 million pounds. And they're different, right? They range differently from everyone, but and from country to country, to be fair. Different countries have different tax laws, so different vehicles. But from your point of view, at the sort of normal end, I'm not going to call it the low end because I'm in that boat as well. It's as tax efficient as you can get it. That's where you start. You use all the tax efficiencies, and then you step up into different things.
Climb Mount Everest. That is one of that's in my bucket list. You're laughing, but that is the facts right there. I'd love to do that. That is something I'm looking forward to do, hopefully.
Climb Everest.
Mount Everest. I mean, okay, not the very tip of Mount Everest, maybe the base camp at least.
They're talking about mental health. If you went out and got some exercise in the fresh air, that will improve your mental health. It will make you feel better.
That's true. That is true. I wholeheartedly agree. But then for some people, it's how do you find the motivation to, especially when it comes to riding a bicycle, to do it again and again and again and again? It's a cycle that you have to be used to. How do you do it? What makes you wake up in the morning and decide, hey, I'm going to pick my bike up today. I'm going to cycle. What makes you want to do that?
What makes me want to do that?
Yeah. What do you like? What could you give listeners, like people listening in right now? What kind of tip could you give them?
Well, the first tip I would give them, if you haven't tried it before, try it. It can open up new horizons. It will make you fitter. It will definitely make you fitter. Cycling is one of the best forms of aerobic exercise you can do.
It sounds like, if you think about it, it sounds like great fun. Because what essentially you're trying to say is also at the same time, when you, if you look at it from this perspective, with regards to mental health, especially when you look at it with mental health, this is another way to fight it. I feel like you go outside, you meet more people, you interact with, socially, you'll interact with more people, and you're keeping fit, you're making connections, you're breathing in the good and exhaling the bad. I feel like that's a great thing right there.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got a better way with words than I have, I'll tell you. But you're quite right. What you say there. You're quite right.
I've been doing this for quite some time. Hey, you'll get the hang of it.
I've been doing it for about 10 minutes now, so yeah.
That I can never really understand people staying in one room the whole day when you can have the world to see. I am a traveler. I travel. I love traveling. Traveling is just one of the things I do. And on top of my bucket list was, to one time, hopefully when I get there, go to Nepal and climb Mount Everest. That is one of that's in my bucket list. You're laughing, but that is the facts right there. I'd love to do that. That is something I'm looking forward to do, hopefully.
Climb Everest.
Mount Everest. Okay, not the very tip of Mount Everest, maybe the base camp at least.
Base camp, yeah. At
least.
Would you be able to cycle there?
Oh.
The Chat Trap.
Welcome back to the show. If you're just tuning in, and this is the Chat Trap on Relaks Radio. And listen, Relaks Radio is an interactive community radio. And first, what's most important is you. And we want you to be a part of the show. We want you to tune in. We want you to let us know what is going on. And you can most definitely do that by contacting us on our number, that is 07852473473. Or you could very simply connect with us on our social media. Andrea, do you want to talk to everybody listening in about our social media platforms?
Of course, now that everyone is using social media, why don't try to connect contact with us by Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and I think that that's all.
That's it. That's
Oh,
TikTok. Did you say TikTok?
yeah, I said TikTok and TikTok because we are enjoying having that talking to you by those platforms, and also don't forget to download the app because you can have notifications when we are starting to do different sessions.
Mhm. Absolutely. Make sure that you click on that icon so that you know what we're talking about, so that you are updated with every single thing that is going on. We're a fun bunch. We're making sure that you are as happy, you are as positive as possible. So make sure that you tune in, make sure that you listen to us, make sure that you keep yourself updated with every single thing that is going on. Now, with that being said, go right ahead and be a part of the show. We have been talking about something very, I would say, personal. We've been talking about setting boundaries, and we want to know how it's like for you. Is it a challenge for you? Do you have issues like me and Andrea? We spoke about how we kind of have a problem with saying no to people just because we want to be nice, we want to be as respectable as possible, and sometimes that kind of gives us issues with setting boundaries on our time. And earlier on, Andrea and I both were talking about how one way to develop healthy boundaries in your life, one thing that you most essentially can do is to kind of define to yourself what's most important. Right? If you tell yourself, this is my goal in life, this is what I want to do, ask yourself if you're happy before you do something. And that essentially is going to help you develop boundaries, healthy boundaries, even when it comes to work, even when it comes to your social life, even when it comes to relationships, with your friends or with your partner. And that's what I think, Andrea. Do you agree?
Yeah, I completely agree with you because if you don't look out for you, you are not gonna end in the place that you want to be. Like, you need to look at the big picture of you. Like,
Absolutely.
this is the way that I want to be in future. I don't know, plan like in 10 years or something like that, and just start step by step and try to build up how you want to be.
Absolutely, just make sure that sometimes you need to put yourself first. So I think I talk about work quite a lot is because for a lot of people, putting boundaries when it comes to work is the hardest. Especially with COVID-19, especially because a lot of us are working from home. That time of like where work ends and where your personal life begins, like I told you before, is kind of getting blurred. Like you don't know where work ends, you don't know where your personal life starts, and that can be a really big problem because you are answering your work calls at like 8 o'clock in the night, you are replying to your emails at late in the night or with apart from office hours, and that can truly affect your mental health, that can truly affect your relationships with, say, your family, your relationship with yourself. So I think that's why it's so important in any aspect of life to kind of develop healthy boundaries. And even if you're in love with like your partner, even in a relationship, that's something that we didn't speak of earlier on. But I think even having relationship boundaries, saying, okay, we spoke about relationships a few days back, and we spoke about the importance of having boundaries. Yeah, you'll love each other. Yeah, you can rely on each other, but that doesn't mean that you all have to be completely interdependent. You need to be your own person. You need to be able to say yes or no according to your own terms, right?
Yeah, and don't lose your sense because when you lost your sense, you just start getting, but like looking like a ghost of your partner, and just try to be yourself. Like, take time for you, take a date for yourself. You don't always need to go out with someone, and always look out for you because you are the only person that is gonna look for you. Like, no one else is gonna think, okay, maybe this is good for her or for him, or maybe it's bad. Just take your
Absolutely.
time, as we always say.
Absolutely. You know what? We have a lot more to share with you when we come right back. So make sure that you keep it tuned right here. I want to talk about guilty conscience. I feel like a lot of people do things that they don't want to with regards to work, with regards to going out with people. If it's with your friends, if it's with your family, you do a lot of things because you feel guilty, not because you want to, not because it's going to make you happy, but because you feel bad saying no to your boss. You feel bad saying no to your friends. And that's definitely one thing I want to talk about when we come back. But right now, we are going to head on to a little break.
one of the easiest ways to increase your net worth is to ensure that you have higher cash flow. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to not buy things on hire purchase, not buy things over months and months because you can't afford them now, but you want it. It's kind of that delayed gratification. Rather than buy that couch, that car, that stereo, that computer, whatever item, and pay it off over 12, 24, 36 months at an interest rate, rather invest that money, make do with what you've got, and then after 12, 24, 36 months, take the money that you've now invested and buy that good. An asset could be anything that appreciates or reduces a tax bill. So it could still be a liability, but it reduces their tax bill.
Now, there's a lot of conversation around who pays more taxes, if it is the rich or if it is the poor, right? But when you are basically going out and during a day, you go to a restaurant, you have to pay taxes there. If you buy a car, you have to pay taxes there. So why is it even a conversation that, the rich pay less taxes or the poor pay more taxes? Why is it a conversation like that?
Because it's true, the rich generally pay less tax. A rich person walks into a Tesco's or a Sainsbury's, they're not going to get a different bill than another person, right? They're still going to pay the same VAT on those goods, they're still going to pay the same thing. So that's all the same. However, the differences come in if you can pay yourself from your own company, you can structure it in a way that you pay less income tax through paying a bit of salary, paying dividends and so forth, and then also deferring income. Also, your pension payments or contributions can be different. So that increases your tax sort of gap, if you want to use it that way. Where a PAYE person just gets paid salary and bonus. And now those are the most highly taxed sources of income in the UK, definitely, in the UK. We've seen it, right? If an owner of a large public traded company does something wrong, irrelevant of what that company does or how valuable that company is, the stock generally falls into a pool of nothing, right? Because in a public company where the stock is traded openly on the stock exchange, the value of that stock is driven by supply and demand, it's driven by emotion, it's driven by news, it's driven by quite a lot of variables over and above the actual accounting or total net worth of that company. I mean, we've seen it, right? If an owner of a large public traded company does something wrong, irrelevant of what that company does or how valuable that company is, the stock generally falls into a pool of nothing, right? And the company may still have value, it may still be doing quite a good things.
The Chat Trap.
Welcome back to the show. Of course, this is the Chat Trap on Relaks Radio. How are you doing? How is everybody doing? Hope you are having yourself an amazing day so far. It is Tuesday, which means you got through Monday, which in itself is an accomplishment, okay? In itself is amazing to be able to get through Monday. So kudos to you. Very well done for getting through yesterday. I know it couldn't have been easy, but you got through, and that is all that matters. Andrea, we were talking about something very interesting earlier on, but before we do that, do you want to remind everybody how they can get on board the show, how they can be a part of the show, connect with us, and let us know what's going on?
Of course, we would like to hear about you by our social media. We are in different platforms, as you know, like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. Because we try to post everything and we just want to get in touch with you guys. Also, don't forget to download the app because it's by that you can send us messages anytime and just contact with us.
Yeah, because I feel like everybody needs some conversation sometimes. Everybody needs to have, to be able to talk to people. And that's what we are doing for you. We are here to give you good conversation. If you want to talk about something, then that's what we're here also. We're here to hear out your opinions. We're here for you 24/7, 365. So make sure that you connect with us. Make sure, like Andrea said, that you check us out on our social media platforms. And please feel free, don't ever be too shy to send us a message, to drop us a message, and let us know what's going on. Now, with that being said, earlier on we were talking about something interesting, and that was about setting boundaries on your time, right? And I was talking about how a lot of us kind of say yes to people. A lot of us find it hard to put boundaries on our time because we can't say no to people, and that's because we're guilty. Okay, let me give you a very good example. For example, see, if your boss calls to you on a Saturday and says, look, I need you to work, I need you to do something for me, you're instantly going to say yes because of the fact that you think you're going to feel guilty for not working, or you're going to feel like, oh, I'm not doing enough, or I need to keep my boss happy at all times, so you're going to work on Saturday. But that's not how it's supposed to happen. You get paid to work for a certain period of time, and it doesn't matter if you work from home, it doesn't matter where you work from, those work hours essentially need to stand, right? And I feel like this whole idea of people feeling guilty, and even if you want to go out, sometimes I say yes to my friends if they say, oh, let's go out on a Friday night. I say yes because I'm guilty, like, oh, I don't want to let them down, I don't want to make them feel bad, which is why I decide to go out with them. So those are things that definitely shouldn't happen, and that's at least my perspective of things.
Yeah, like if you are not gonna go out, you don't feel comfortable with yourself. Like sometimes you just need to rest and do nothing. And if someone told you to go out and you don't feel yourself, just say no, or I can't because I'm not in a good moment. It's alright if you say no. I mean, I understand if someone tells me no, I can't, and say it's alright. Take your time.
Absolutely, take your time. That is something that you need to realize, that other people have to put boundaries on their life as well. And you need to do it as well, because you need to give yourself time. Even when it comes to, going out with friends, even if it comes to work, even if it comes to being, personal time or whatever, just make sure that you don't mix up personal time and work time, and that you have clear boundaries saying, okay, I will, go out with friends, say, once a week or once in 2 weeks or something like that, or I will work only 8 hours, give it the 8 hours, and I will study within this period. And I think that is very important, to kind of set boundaries, so that you know where your life is going, you know the direction that your life is going, and you just have more, you have a better chance at achieving your goals, if you have boundaries. If not, everything just becomes one big mess, and we really don't want that to happen to you. Okay.
Yeah, of course, like always put limits on everything that you do, and also to people, like to don't disrespectful you or try treat you in a bad way. Always say when you feel bad. As we said, like we are not trying to give you negative vibes, but also positivity and make you feel good with yourself.
Absolutely. You need to feel comfortable with yourself, and you need to understand that whatever decision you make, you need to make it. Okay. Because a lot of us are like conditioned by society, we're conditioned by our friends, we're conditioned by what people think, that we kind of find it impossible to make decisions for ourselves. Right, we decide to work an hour later even though we're not paid for it, is because somebody else did it, and because we want to do it because of that, or we want to go out because everybody else goes out, so we want to look cool. Whereas that shouldn't be the case. If it doesn't make you happy, you don't have to do it. If it makes 100 other people happy and it doesn't make you happy, then that's it. You are your own person, and that's definitely one thing that people need to understand. And that's definitely one thing that I myself am trying to kind of comprehend and follow. And it's the first step, I feel like, when developing healthy boundaries in your life.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, because as you are saying, is sometimes I know is I completely understand because that happens to me to say no, either when it's your mom or your family or someone that is really close to you, because you don't want to feel make that people feel bad.
Mm.
Um, just try to practice it this step by step. Like, don't say no just today from I don't know Just say like today you can say no to something that is not that big until you feel enough to say no, and make sure that you are saying no to the right in the right time. Because you also don't need to lose opportunities that you never know that could help you at some point.
Wow, that's very interesting. Yeah, that's it's again, I think with all the conversations we're having, Andrea, we are seeing that there's always two sides to the story. We're always seeing the two sides of like everything we're talking about. And yeah, absolutely. You are so correct. Sometimes when we say no because we're lazy or because, we can't be bothered, we kind of miss good opportunities in life. So you need to find that balance when it comes to everything, when it comes to
Yeah.
work in life, when it comes to relationship in life, when it comes to partying, when it comes to going out in life, you just need to find that balance. And I think when you do find that balance, life is just going to be so, so much easier, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's understand because you at the first time that you say no, you understand that maybe I said no in the bad moment, or I said don't no because I was lazy. Just try to learn when it's a good time to say no and when it's a good time to say yes, I can. Because you don't want to mess it up thinking about that all the time. If you make a mistake saying no, okay, you learn about that, and next time you are learning that okay, it was a good opportunity. Now I can't say no to that. But when it's like just friends and all that stuff, also as we say, don't procrastinate, but also don't overwork. So just learn by your mistakes that we were talking about that yesterday, and just say no when you feel that it's a good moment and it's perfect for you.
And trust in your decisions, okay? Just believe in yourself. You're an adult. You can make decisions that are good for yourself. But even the best of people kind of make mistakes when making decisions. But what I guess what's most important is that you, like Andrea said, you use that as an opportunity to learn and you make sure that you don't take that decision again. Now, with that being said, we're going to head on off to a little break. But when we come back, we are going to be talking about this and so much more that you need to know. So make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio. Make sure that you hit that like button if you're listening to us on our social media. And if there's absolutely anything that you want to share with us, make sure that you leave a comment down below. With that being said, like I said before, we're heading off to a little break. But when we come back, a lot more interesting conversation awaits.
The valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday, and what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. What am I saving or investing for? Why am I doing it? When will I need the money? And how much money do I need? Yeah. So that's quite important, because when you're looking at your net worth, you got to start with saying, well, what do I want my net worth to be? So that there's a goal, and then work backwards. How do I get there? And if I can start with £50 or $50 a week, if I save that every week, and you can go online and use calculators online. I don't have to teach you the maths behind it, but you can say, okay, and if I get a 3% return and I put this away for how long will it take to reach my goal? And that's called just this basic cash flow projection calculations. And it's what we use in financial planning all the time. What we say to clients is we say, okay, what is your goal? What is your objective? Where do you want to go to? And we discuss that in a lot of detail and over most of the meeting. And then the rest of it is saying, okay, in your exact circumstances, with your risk profile, with how you feel about investments and pensions and taxes and where you are and who you work with, and your education level or your lack of education or how involved you want to be. There's a lot of variables that we take into account, and then we say, okay, here's a plan. You start like this, that's great. And then we review it all the time. And we say, okay, we need to increase it, we're on track, we're not, this is what is happening. Because remember, when you're dealing with assets, the valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday, and what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. So that's a struggle. Yeah. So there are strategies everywhere from £50 a week up to £100 million. and they're different, right? They range differently from everyone, but and from country to country, to be fair. Different countries have different tax laws, so different vehicles. But from your point of view, at the sort of normal end, I'm not going to call it the low end because I'm in that boat as well. It's as tax efficient as you can get it. That's where you start. You use all the tax efficiencies, and then you step up into different things. One of the easiest ways to increase your net worth is to ensure that you have higher cash flows. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to not buy things on hire purchase, not buy things over months and months because you can't afford them now, but you want it. It's kind of that delayed gratification. Rather than buy that couch, that car, that stereo, that computer, whatever item, and pay it off over 12, 24, 36 months at an interest rate, rather invest that money, make do with what you've got, and then after 12, 24, 36 months, take the money that you've now invested and buy that good. An asset could be anything that appreciates or reduces a tax bill. So it could still be a liability, but it reduces their tax bill. And I'm not going to go into the technicalities because that's out of our remit here. However, for our use or our purpose, what we are talking for the listeners here is I would put this definition of an asset forward. An asset is anything that increases your income. Anything.
Now, there's a lot of conversation around who pays more taxes, if it is the rich or if it is the poor, right? When you are basically going out and during a day, if you go to a restaurant, you have to pay taxes there. If you buy a car, you have to pay taxes there. So why is it even a conversation that, the rich pay less taxes or the poor pay more taxes? Why is it a conversation like that?
Because it's true, the rich generally pay less tax. A rich person walks into a Tesco's or a Sainsbury's, they're not going to get a different bill than another person, right? They're still going to pay the same VAT on those goods. They're still going to pay the same thing. So that's all the same. However, the differences come in if you can pay yourself from your own company, you can structure it in a way that you pay less income tax through paying a bit of salary, paying dividends and so forth, and then also deferring income. Also, your pension payments or contributions can be different. So that increases your tax sort of gap, if you want to use it that way. Where a PAYE person just gets paid salary and bonus. And now those are the most highly taxed sources of income in the UK, definitely, in the UK.
The Chat Trap.
Welcome back to the show. This is, of course, the Chat Trap on Relaks Radio. How you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day so far. We've had such amazing conversation. We've spoken about a lot of different things. And Andrea, I think for the next couple minutes, actually, I do want to continue the conversation that we've been having so far. But I also want to share with everybody some very interesting topics with regards to the entertainment industry. But before we get into that, I want you to remind everybody about what they can do to, be a part of the show, what they can do to essentially be a part of this conversation that we're having.
Of course, like if I was younger and I looking in the radio and they told me, if you want to be part of a radio, why you don't contact us? So now that you have this big opportunity, why don't try to contact us and talk to us like about different stuff that is happening to you, or you would like to tell us to talk about or give you our opinions. So you can download our app that we always look at that, and we would like to hear about you by that. Also by our platform, social media platform like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter. Yeah.
You forgot TikTok, but TikTok
No,
is
no, I
definitely.
said TikTok. I said
Oh,
TikTok.
you said, oh, my bad. Girl, my bad. I'm sorry. But yeah, definitely go check out our TikTok because we're trying to keep you entertained. We're trying to, give you an idea of what we are like behind the screen, behind the mic and everything. We're just giving you an idea. So make sure that you go show us some love on our social media platforms, including TikTok. And, if you do some pretty cool TikToks, make sure that you send it across to us because we can talk about it. We love to have conversations with you. We love to connect with you. So just go ahead and send us a message either on 07852 473 473 or, like Andrea said, on our social media platforms. Now, Andrea, all this time we were talking about boundaries, and I was telling people how it's important to limit, how you need to have limits in life in all aspects. You need to have limits when it comes to work. You need to have limits when it comes to your personal life, your relationships, your friends. Everything in life needs to have limits, right? Because a life without limits means where you barely say no, and it's considering other people's feelings before you consider your own. But I feel like we spoke about that far enough. But what I want to do within the next couple minutes is actually talk to people about the benefit of having limits or the benefit of having boundaries. And I don't know about you, Andrea, but I told people how hard it is for me to say no to people, how hard it is for me to limit certain things, especially if I feel like I'm letting down somebody else. But the minute I started saying no to people, and the minute I started, kind of setting limits on certain things, I became a lot more self-aware. Like I was able to recognize my own needs and my own feelings, and I was able to understand myself as an individual person as opposed to being tied to somebody else. Does that make any sense? Like you're able to look at yourself. You're able to recognize what you need. You're able to recognize your own goals, your talents, not conditioned or not affected by somebody else. And I think that's a huge benefit of having limits, of having boundaries or setting boundaries in your life.
Yeah, I think that it's really important to have limits either for yourself, no, either just for people that you know. Because when you know that that's something that's gonna happen that is your limit, don't do that because you know that's gonna end in a different way that you didn't expect it. That like if you put a limit, I don't know, in the time to procrastinate, put a limit and no just forget about that and procrastinate, I don't know, all week. No, try to put limits on yourself as well that you know that that could improve you at some point in the future and you are gonna get better.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, for example, you set a boundary and you recognize that you need like a healthy separation between, you know, you and somebody else. Like I said, in whatever field, even if it's a relationship, even if it's like a toxic friendship, you need to put yourself first, like Andrea just said. And yeah, I think that's super important. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about is when you set boundaries or when you set limits, I think another benefit that we get is that you become a better person and you become a better partner, you become a better friend. Now, I know you're wondering how does that happen, but for example, I feel like the minute that I set a boundary for work and I said I'm a person that works till like 2 3 in the morning, like I can work forever, but the minute I set boundaries, I feel like I had more time for the people I love. Like, I always say, okay, I stop work at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the evening, and then I spend time or I interact with my family, with my loved ones, with my friend. And that essentially made me a more wholesome person. And that made me a better friend. That made me a better partner to, my significant other. And that I think is absolutely important or that is a benefit that you get out of setting boundaries, which I think is absolutely important.
Yeah, like also you completely be a better thinker because you start thinking in the right way instead of the right way for the others. Because
Absolutely.
you sometimes go out with friends that you don't realize they are kind of bad for you, like bad influence, and you're just saying yes because to don't let that friendship and all that stuff. But if you think about if you think twice, you know that you can realize things that you never thought before.
Absolutely, you're just going to be a better person for yourself, and I think that's a very very important thing to remember. At the end of the day, I feel like you take better care of yourself because you're more organized. You know, when you have okay, this time for work, this time for friends, this time for myself. When you have boundaries like that, you're more aware and you're more you have more time for yourself. You take better care of yourself. You're less stressed out because you don't have to do 100 things at one time, and that's very important because not all of us are going to be young and healthy when we get old. I feel like it's important to live a happy life, and living a happy life has a lot to do with setting limits with everything, in all
Yeah.
aspects, you know?
Yeah, of course, and don't look life like something that's hard to keep you like just don't look life in a bad way. Just enjoy it. Like the most of the time, just do the best things to yourself and don't be bad with people. Like I know there's some bad people there, but just ignore that or don't take care about that. Just take care about people that really take care of you and don't leave you in those bad moments that you need it.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you. And I think that can be kind of hard sometimes. You know, I know it's easy
Yeah.
for both of us to say, oh, ignore the bad people in your life, or ignore the negativity in your life. And it can be hard when you're just like, oh, I have to suffer so much to be able to eat something. I have to suffer to be able to pay rent. And I know life is not always easy. But I guess, Andrea, like I always say, no matter how horrible your life may seem to you, somebody else out there has it worse, right? Somebody else out there lives a far worse, far terrible life compared to you. And that person possibly looks up at you and says, oh, I wish I had the life that they had. You know, so no matter how terrible your life is, don't complain. Just try your best to do whatever it takes to kind of better the situation. Because know that there's definitely somebody who has it far worse than you. It's about using that opportunity. It's about seizing the opportunity and doing what's best for yourself.
Yes, you said it right because I know it's quite hard when you just say that instead of doing that because it's completely different. Maybe something in your mind is saying, okay, I'm not gonna do that. But when it's that exactly moment, you just don't realize that. Just don't don't think once. Think twice and always try to do the best decision for yourself. Like sometimes you need time. When I say think twice is to realize what's happening or what's gonna happen in that moment that you made that decision.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And I think that's very valuable advice to everybody listening in. And I want to say thank you. If you've been listening to us so far, a big thank you going out to you. Thank you for being a part of the show. But with that being said, we're going to head on over to a little break. When we come back, it's actually the final few minutes of the show. So when we come back, we'll give you some inspiration. So make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio. Up until then.
And it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh, so that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Ladies who ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, got me thinking. You want to stand out. Why do you want to stand out though so much, especially with these kind of shirts when you're riding? There must be a purpose behind it, right?
Well, when you say a purpose, Nick, what I do, I wear the shirts, mainly one because they're nice and bright. So they make me visible, especially if I'm riding on the road.
Okay. Yeah, that's very important, right? Because you want cars, yeah.
Very important. And also, like, people see me in, like, calves, and perhaps I shouldn't be saying this on here, I suppose, but in the bar afterwards.
All right.
And it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh, so that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Ladies who ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, you look like a guy who would do.
You know me too well. You know me too well, Nick.
One of the easiest ways to increase your net worth is to ensure that you have higher cash flows. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to not buy things on hire purchase, not buy things over months and months because you can't afford them now, but you want it. It's kind of that delayed gratification. Rather than buy that couch, that car, that stereo, that computer, whatever item, and pay it off over 12, 24, 36 months at an interest rate, rather invest that money, make do with what you've got, and then after 12, 24, 36 months, take the money that you've now invested and buy that good. An asset could be anything that appreciates or reduces a tax bill. So it could still be a liability, but it reduces their tax bill. And I'm not going to go into the technicalities because that's out of our remit here. However, for our use or our purpose, what we are talking for the listeners here is I would put this definition of an asset forward. An asset is anything that increases your income. Anything.
Now, there's a lot of conversation around who pays more taxes, if it is the rich or if it is the poor, right? When you are basically going out and during a day, if you go to a restaurant, you have to pay taxes there. If you buy a car, you have to pay taxes there. So why is it even a conversation that, the rich pay less taxes or the poor pay more taxes? Why is it a conversation like that?
Because it's true, the rich generally pay less tax. A rich person walks into a Tesco's or a Sainsbury's, they're not going to get a different bill than another person, right? They're still going to pay the same VAT on those goods. They're still going to pay the same thing. So that's all the same. However, the differences come in if you can pay yourself from your own company, you can structure it in a way that you pay less income tax through paying a bit of salary, paying dividends and so forth, and then also deferring income. Also, your pension payments or contributions can be different. So that increases your tax sort of gap, if that, if you want to use it that way. Where a PAYE person just gets paid salary and bonus. And now those are the most highly taxed sources of income in the UK, definitely, in the UK.
The Chat Trap.
Welcome back to the show. This is the final few minutes of the chat up, actually. But don't worry, because we have a lot more exciting things that's happening here at Relaks Radio. We have a show that's coming up, and Tim is going to keep you company and talk about all business, finance, tech-related information that you need to know. The show after that is going to give you an update of everything that is happening with regards to politics, with regards to current affairs. So make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relaks Radio. Now, with that being said, Andrea, for the final few minutes, I want to we've been talking about setting boundaries, we've been talking about some very interesting things, but I want to kind of end by telling people what they can do rather to be a little bit more effective when they work or, whatever you're doing. It's important to be as productive as possible. It's important to be as effective as possible. Is there any specific thing that you do to be extra effective, that you do to be as productive as possible? What exactly do you do? Because I know you're a very productive person. You hate just like idling. You hate just sitting on your bed doing nothing. So what essentially is your motivation? What helps you to kind of stay productive all throughout the day?
I think that leave the phone because I get so distracted when I'm with my phone, like looking everything, texting people and all that stuff. So I realized that when I don't use my phone like an entire week, I do so many things like without planning.
Absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree with you. Again, I think that goes back to a conversation about setting limits. And I don't think we touched on it, but you need to set a limit even when it comes to your digital life, when it comes to using social media, when it comes to interacting with people on social media. There always needs to be a boundary with everything in social media media is not an exception. Like you said, yes, I completely agree. It's okay to have social media presence. It's okay to use social media. Social media is a good thing. It's just make sure that you set yourself a time, for 1 hour a day, and don't overdo that time, because that's going to, you know, help. You're going to spend a lot of time doing absolutely nothing, because you're going to keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling with never ending videos. So make sure that you put a boundary when it comes to using social media. And I think the other important thing, we've kind of touched on this earlier on, Andrea, but I think another important thing when kind of being as effective as possible, as productive as possible, is making a to-do list, like having either the night
Yeah.
before or when you wake up in the morning, have like a list of things that you need to do. Now, this is something that I do just because I'm really busy with school, with like my education, with my jobs, and it, so, your brain can only remember so much, right? And certain times you forget things that you're supposed to do. Like yesterday, you said, okay, today I'm going to do this, but you forget it. So, uh, what I do is on my phone, I have an app that kind of helps me and gives me reminders. Okay, you need to do this today. You need to drink water, because that should be something that you need to add to your to-do list as well, because we kind of forget to keep ourselves hydrated. So yeah, use technology, use your phone for the good, and you can definitely use apps like Evernote. I think there are a few apps that you can use as reminders, as daily task lists, and having a to-do list is definitely something you can do to be more productive.
Yeah, definitely what you say, because I found that like a pretty good tip with everyone that is listening, because I know that so many people like me have bad memory. I just forget everything. So I just writing down to do
Okay,
it.
I'm sure that's an exaggeration.
No, for real, I forget so many things. Like if my mom doesn't remember me, or my brother or a friend, I'm like, no.
Okay, so maybe you can start using a to-do list and you let everybody know if that helped you. Because I'm like you, I kind of forget things as well. The day before, I'm just like, oh, I need to get this done. But when today comes, I'm so busy that it kind of slips my mind. It's not about forgetting, it's just you're so busy that you don't have time to remember what you're supposed to do. And that's when like a to-do list definitely helps. So make sure that you have a to-do list. And Andrea, you let us know what you think. Try it tomorrow, and maybe you can talk to us about it. And tell us if it actually worked or not, because we want things that will actually work for people.
Yeah.
It works for me, it could work for you, it couldn't work for you, I don't know, figure it out. And another thing you can do to be as productive as possible is to kind of prioritize your work, right? Now I feel like, okay, again, I'm taking a personal experience here. Like I said, I have a to-do list. So I say, okay, I need to do this today. And I look at the list. The first thing that when I first wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is to look at this list. But when I do, I kind of tend to do the things that I like and leave out the important things. Like say if it says, okay, call a friend, that for me is an easy thing to do. And I will do that and ignore the more important things and leave it for the last few hours of the day, which is definitely not something you should do. You should prioritize, look at your list and say, okay, this is important, this is not that important. Do the important things first, do the hard things first, so that you won't stress about it and you won't have to worry about it for the rest of the day. That's something that I live by. That's definitely something that I've found helpful in my life.
Yeah, that's completely true. Like we just ignore the important stuff and then just leave it for the last minute.
Mhm.
And yes, you said something good. Like I'm gonna take it, and actually I'm gonna try to do it to the list, and I'm gonna tell you tomorrow.
Absolutely.
In
Wow. Okay.
editing as well.
We're going to have first-hand experience from you. So like if there's anything that you need to know, oh my goodness, I'm excited for tomorrow, and you definitely should be too. So make sure that you tune in tomorrow as well, because Andrea is going to do a little experiment for all of us, for the benefit of all of us. So make sure that you tune in, make sure that you listen to us. We are Relax Radio. This is the chat trap on Relax Radio. With that being said, it's about the time that we head on out of here. Is there anything that you want to share with everybody before we leave, Andrea?
I just would like to say thank you to everyone that is listening and taking their time to just hear our opinions and our things that we talk about during experience, because I know that is, time is not that not everyone takes that time to listen everyone. So Thank you so much for people that's connecting. And thank you so much, Jamie, for giving you these amazing advices.
Oh, thank you, Andrea. It's a two-way effort, and like Andrea, I also want to say thank you so much, Andrea, and thank you so much to everybody else that were a part of the show. I hope you have the most amazing day ahead, and the best of luck. Lots of love from both of us out to you. We have a lot more things to talk about, so make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio. But for now, we're going to say goodbye.
Bye.